What's goods, guys? We're back again. Strapping your bumper cloth seatbelts and prepare for the ride. We begin in Milwaukee, where the Bucks close their 2025-26 home schedule on Thursday against the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn arrived at Fiserv Forum with 20 wins on the season and 7 players inactive. Milwaukee, for their part, entered without their franchise cornerstone. Giannis Antetokounmpo was once again ruled out. It was his 14th consecutive absence, the result of a left knee hyperextension and bone bruise sustained on March 15th when he landed awkwardly following a dunk attempt. A league investigation into how the Bucks managed and communicated his health status is currently ongoing, and Giannis has maintained publicly that he is healthy enough to return to the floor. That tension between what the organization is saying, what the player is saying, and what league investigators are examining remains unresolved heading into the final day of the regular season. Despite all of it, 17,379 fans turned out on Thursday night, a sellout, and what they witnessed was one of the more memorable individual performances this franchise has produced in years, just not from the player anyone expected. A player who entered this season as a dependable rotation piece in Milwaukee's offense delivered a performance that will sit in Bucks record books for years to come. Green finished the night with 35 points, the first 30-point game of his career, and along the way, he converted 11 three-point field goals. 11. That single game mark is a Milwaukee Bucks franchise record. It breaks a benchmark previously shared by 2 players who will both end up in the Basketball Hall of Fame, Ray Allen and Damian Lillard, each of whom had knocked down 10 threes in a single game while in a Bucks uniform. Green now holds that mark alone, in a performance that arrived not in a playoff push or a championship race, but during the final home game of a 31-49 season. Green's 11 makes Thursday night brought his season total to 227 three-point field goals, placing him within striking distance of Ray Allen's all-time Bucks single-season record of 229. With 1 game remaining, on the road in Philadelphia on April 12th, Green would need to convert 14 or more threes to claim outright ownership of that record. For reference, he has made 7 in a game on 3 separate occasions this season. To the Western Conference play-in race, where on Friday night in Portland, a game with direct implications for seeding played out across 4 quarters before the Trailblazers pulled clear in the final period. Portland trailed Los Angeles early in the 4th quarter of what was, by any objective measure, a pivotal regular season matchup. Kobe Sanders hit a jumper in the first minute of the period to give the Clippers the lead, a notable shift considering Los Angeles had trailed by as many as 20 points in the first half. The Blazers answered immediately. Portland scored 11 consecutive points, held the Clippers without a field goal for close to 7 minutes, and when Brook Lopez converted a three-pointer with 4:36 remaining to cut the deficit to 6, Portland responded with another run of 10 straight. Deni Avdija capped the win-sealing spurt with a step-back three-pointer, his only made triple of the night. He finished with a game-high 35 points, 15 of which came in the 4th quarter alone. He converted free throws repeatedly throughout the contest, and his presence in the clutch segments was the defining individual factor of the evening. The final score of 116-97 reflects how the closing stages unfolded, but the performance was not built on one player alone. Portland dominated the glass with a 60-39 rebounding advantage over Los Angeles. Donovan Clingan recorded 18 points and 13 rebounds. Robert Williams III added 13 points and 10 rebounds off the bench. The Blazers converted 30 of their 35 free throw attempts and produced 24 points directly off 17 Clippers turnovers. Portland shot 12 of 39 from three-point range, a below-average night from distance. But their dominance on the boards, at the foul line, and in transition off turnovers made that gap largely irrelevant. For Los Angeles, Kawhi Leonard led the scoring with 24 points and 8 rebounds. Brook Lopez finished with 21 points on 5 of 11 three-point shooting. Darius Garland contributed 16 points and 7 assists, and Jordan Miller came off the bench to score 15. But the Clippers converted just 21 bench points in total, and the combination of turnovers, rebounding, and Portland's 4th quarter execution ultimately made the gap too wide to close. The result has direct consequences for the Western Conference play-in tournament. Portland entered Friday at 40-40. The win moved them to 41-40 and into the 8th seed in the West, slotting them directly into the 7 versus 8 play-in contest. The Clippers, also at 41-40 entering Friday, fall to the 9th seed following the loss. Both franchises have one game remaining in the regular season, and the gap between them will be determined over the weekend before play-in action begins.
And then, Houston, where the Toyota Center was the setting for one of the more watchable games of the final weekend, and where an 8-game winning streak for the Rockets came to an end in the 4th quarter against the Timberwolves side that responded to every Houston push with a run of their own. The final score, Minnesota 136, Houston 132. The Rockets entered the game at 51-30, still playing for postseason seeding despite having secured a playoff berth. The Timberwolves arrived at 47-33, heading for the playoffs as the 6th seed in the Western Conference. The individual story of the night belonged to Thompson. Thompson finished with a career-high 41 points for the Rockets, a performance that arrived in the context of a loss, but one that established a new professional benchmark for a player who has steadily elevated his output across this season. Kevin Durant added 33 points for Houston, and in doing so, passed a historic threshold. Durant's 33-point performance pushed his season total to 2,026 points, making him the oldest player in NBA history to reach 2,000 points in a single season at 37 years old. The previous holder of that mark was Karl Malone, who accomplished it in the 1999-2000 season at the age of 36. It is Durant's 8th season scoring 2,000 or more points, and his first since 2023-24. Alperen Şengün contributed 22 points for Houston, and it was Şengün's 4-point burst as part of an 8-2 Rockets run in the final minute that cut the Minnesota lead to 132-128 with approximately 60 seconds remaining. At that point, the Toyota Center had every reason to believe Houston might pull through. Anthony Edwards had different plans. Edwards, who finished the evening with 22 points, responded to the Rockets' late run with a 3-pointer that pushed the Minnesota lead to 135-128. And from that moment, the result was settled. Fans began making their way toward the exits. The final buzzer confirmed it. Timberwolves 136, Rockets 132. Earlier in the quarter, it was Donte DiVincenzo who applied the decisive pressure. With Houston leading by 5, Minnesota used a 13-4 run in which DiVincenzo scored the first 8 points to take a 116-112 lead with approximately 8 minutes remaining. The Rockets responded briefly, but Minnesota scored the next 7, capped by another DiVincenzo 3, to push the advantage to 123-114. A lead from which Houston, despite Thompson's career high and Durant's historic milestone, could not fully recover. Minnesota played without Julius Randle, who missed a second consecutive game with right-hand soreness, and yet produced 7 players with at least 15 points on the evening. Terrence Shannon Jr. came off the bench to score 23 points, and the Timberwolves' balance across the rotation was ultimately what separated the two sides when it mattered most. For Houston, the loss moves them to 51-30 with 1 game remaining. They will host Memphis on Sunday, with final seeding implications still in play. For Minnesota, the win lifts them to 48-33, and they host New Orleans on Sunday to close the regular season. And finally, San Antonio, where the conversation shifts entirely. Victor Wembanyama entered Thursday's home game against the Dallas Mavericks with a bruised left rib, sustained during contact in Monday's game against Philadelphia. He played 26 minutes. He finished with 40 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 blocks. San Antonio won 139-120. In the first quarter alone, he recorded 16 points on 6 of 8 shooting, adding 5 rebounds and a block. He grimaced at times throughout the contest, placing his hand over the rib on plays where contact landed in the wrong location. But as he explained in the post-game press conference, the discomfort was manageable in most moments. He described his approach as trying to protect the injury, while still being what he called respectful of the game. Since February, San Antonio has posted a 24-3 record. Thursday's performance marked the 5th occasion this season in which Wembanyama recorded at least 40 points alongside at least 10 rebounds. That ties Hall of Famer David Robinson's franchise record from the 1993-94 season for the most such games in a single Spurs campaign. To place that alongside David Robinson's name is to understand what Wembanyama is producing at 22 years old. Robinson was one of the most accomplished big men in the history of the sport. Wembanyama is now in the same statistical territory, in the same uniform, in the same franchise. But perhaps the most revealing moment of Thursday's postgame did not happen on the court. It came in the press conference room, where Wembanyama spoke about what reaching the 65-game threshold means for his awards eligibility. He framed it simply as a box that had been checked, and then he turned the question back on the assembled media. He asked them directly, what percentage of games played should constitute the qualifying threshold for awards consideration? The answers varied across the room. One journalist suggested removing the threshold entirely, arguing that games played does not necessarily measure a player's impact on the league. Wembanyama agreed with that framing. And then, in what has become characteristic of how he engages with conceptual questions, he produced the mathematics in real time. A player appearing in 50 games at 35 minutes per game, he explained, accumulates 1,750 minutes. A player appearing in 75 games at 20 minutes per game accumulates 1,500 minutes. By that calculation, the player with fewer games has contributed more time on the floor. He acknowledged he did not expect the league to create a mid-season exception, but his position was clear. A threshold of 75% of games would, in his view, represent a more logical standard. And the broader conversation about how player impact is measured and recognized is one that he believes deserves serious consideration at the league level. Whether or not the rule evolves, his standing in the current award cycle is already settled. He is the leading favorite for NBA Defensive Player of the Year, and his overall statistical profile has placed him in discussions that extend well beyond individual category awards.